everyone and welcome back to A Royal Reader. My name is Cece and today I'm going to be talking about 22 books that I want to read for 2022. So I have my list here that I made on my digital reading journal, which was 100% inspired by Becca and the books. So here we go. So some of these are books that I already have on my shelves, and others are books that I have just been seeing around on the internet that I think I would be interested in. They're not in any particular order, so let's just get into them because there's a lot. There's 22, so let's go. First up, I have a tome of a book. Unfortunately, actually, a lot of these are really big, so I'm pushing myself this year, but nonetheless, we have Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This book is huge. This book is over, oh Jesus, that's the timeline. So the timeline's in the back of the book, and there's also a glossary. So that included, we're looking at over 800 pages, so that's a chunky one. From what I know about this book, it is sapphic. It's about dragons. And we follow a queen and two different kingdoms, the north and the south. One of them worships dragons and loves them, and the other one fears dragons and hates them. And a dragon is going to be coming back alive or something like that. That's pretty much all I know. But everybody raves about this. One of my best friends read this and loved it. So I think it's high time for me to attempt this beast. Next up on my list, I have The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, I think is how you pronounce his name. I'm going to have the cover up here for you so you can see. This is an adult fantasy. Everybody seems to be reading at the moment, and John Gwynne is a name that I have heard quite a bit in regards to adult fantasy, so I'm interested to see more of his work and just get more into the adult fantasy genre, because although I do have not that many adult high epic fantasy is what I mean. Like, I have a couple of things. I mainly have like this one shelf here, and then I have like my Brandon Sanderson shelf with a couple of J. Kristoff's books and the Poppy War. That's really all I have in regards to like adult high fantasy. Everything else is all like young adult stuff. Next on the list is one that has been roaming around the booktubes for quite some time, and that is Jade City by Fonda Lee. This has just taken the internet by storm, basically. All I know about this is that it is a gang rivalry urban fantasy. There are two rival families, I think, and they are battling for the control of Jade, the gem, because it can enhance people's abilities, or at least their physical attributes. So it like makes them faster and stronger and quicker and stuff like that. They're fighting for it. There is a new drug that has entered the community where it's sort of mimicking the effects of Jade, so that's pretty much all that I know. But it sounds good. So next on my list is one that I have been meaning to read for literal years now, and it's another chunky one. This one is, oh my god, it's 900 pages. It's over 900 pages. Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. This is the seventh and final book in the Throne of Glass series. I know I have not completed the series yet. It's one of my favorite series of all time, but I haven't completed it yet. This is going to be painful, and I know it's going to be painful. Am I prepared whatsoever? No. Alright, next is one that I have seen some people talking about, and it's made me really, really interested to pick it up. So I'm just gonna get the synopsis so I can... Alright, so it's called She Who Became the Sun, and it is by Shelley Parker Chan, and this is meant to be a Mulan meets the Song of Achilles, which that already sounds absolutely freaking incredible. Anything to do with Mulan is fascinating because I love that idea, and Song of Achilles is also just painful and just amazing. So it's a bold, queer, and lyrical reimagining of the rise of the founding emperor of the Ming Dynasty. So that is also really interesting as well, because I love learning about ancient history. So that's that one. And then we also have another Asian fantasy, I think, and it is called Jade Fire Gold, and it is by June C.L. Tan. This one just sounds amazing. It's perfect for fans of The Bone Witch and We Hunt the Flame. I've read The Bone Witch. I haven't read We Hunt the Flame yet, but I do plan on reading it at some point. And yeah, I need more Asian fantasies in my life because I have too many white fantasies. So we have an empire on the brink of war. An is no one with no past and no family. Altan is the lost heir, his future stolen away as a child. When they meet, Altan sees sees in Anne a path to reclaim the throne. Anne sees a way to finally unlock her past and understand her arcane magical abilities, but they may have to pay a far deadlier price than either could have imagined. Ferocious action, shadow intrigue, and captivating romance. Ooh. So obviously that's like right up my street. So next we have one that's like obviously on a lot of people's to be read at the moment, and that is Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. This is originally a self-published book, but it has been picked up by a publisher and is getting republished. So I don't know when it's going to be available for Australia, but this is meant to be like dark academia, and it just sounds incredible. There's like a large cast of characters, and I believe there are 6 of them who are fighting for a position in the Alexandrian library, possibly, and only 5 of them are available to actually get the spot. So yeah, but I've heard amazing things about this, and everybody who seems to have read it really likes it, so I'm like down for that. I'm down for all dark academia. Give it to me. So next is The Devil Makes 3 by Tori Bovalino. I'm really butchering that. Horror thriller sort of book, but it's the cover that drew me in. Like, this cover is just fantastic. So it says Tess Matheson only wants 3 things: time to practice her cello, for her sister to be happy, and for everyone else to leave her alone. Instead, Tess finds herself working all summer at her boarding school library, shelving books and dealing with intolerable patrons. The worst of them is Elliot Birch, snide, privileged, and constantly requesting forbidden grimoires. Grimoires, eh? After a bargain with Elliot leads to the discovery of an ancient book in the library's grimoire collection, the pair accidentally unleash a book-bound demon. The demon will stop at nothing to stay free, manipulating ink to those threatened Tess loves, and dismantling Elliot's strange magic. Tess is plagued by terrible dreams of the devil and haunting memories of the boy who wears Elliot's face. All she knows is to stay free, the demon needs her, and he'll have her dead or alive. Yes, please. That sounds freaking amazing. I forgot how good it sounded. That's incredible. Okay, next on the list is one that I have for a sort of video idea, and if you've been around BookTube long enough and you're subscribed to a certain person, you'll probably understand what this video idea is. But the book that I am talking about is Traitor's Blade by Sebastian D. Castell. This is another adult fantasy where we have a group of, I think they're knights, or at least like men who serve the king, and I think they're possibly like his protectors or something along those lines, and unfortunately the king passes away and they are stuck without a job. But I know that Jade from Jade Reads really loves this book. Everyone who seems to have read it has really enjoyed it, so I'm down for another series that I need to sink my teeth into, basically. And then this one will come as no surprise. We have House of Sky and Breath. Yes, House of Sky and Breath, the second book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. Obviously, I'm going to be reading this. I need to reread Crescent City before I can read this. It comes out in like, I think 2 weeks. That is not enough time for me to be able to read Crescent City and annotate it and write all over it and stuff like that. But nonetheless, I still want to read this book, so there we go. If you have not heard of Crescent City, you are very, very new to BookTube and probably BookTok and everything else. But Crescent City is a story where we follow our main character, Bryce Quinlan, who is half Fae. She is brought into like the city's police force, I guess you could say, because she has links to a certain murder case that happened, and there's a couple of murders that are going around that are very similar to the previous murders MO. And so the police want Bryce's help in order to try and figure out if it's the same person and stuff like that. Because it's really dangerous, the police decide to put a protector with Bryce in the form of the fallen angel Hunt Alethar, and that is the very basic premises of the book. Obviously, it's a Sarah J. Maas book that goes much more into a different sort of plot, but nonetheless, really, really good. Really, really good. The next book that I have on my list is a bit of a weird one, I'm not gonna lie, but just at the moment I've seen so many people talk about this book and I just need to know what the hype is about. The book I'm talking about is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Everybody loves this book and I need to know why. This book, we follow our main character, Laszlo Strange. He is a librarian, archivist type of person, where he's researching this mythical lost city that like vanished from the world and nobody remembers it. It was like wiped from their memories. All they know is that they call it Weep. And so he is obsessed with trying to like find it and research about it. And one day he gets given the opportunity to go and, I don't know, he gets to go and see the city of Weep, basically. A person of a hero called the Godslayer and a band of legendary warriors are also there. So there's that. One book that's most likely going to come as a surprise, considering as what I've mainly talked about for the first 15 minutes of this video, is all fantasy. But the next book that I'm going to say is The Silent Patient by Alex McLadies. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Cece, you read The Maidens and absolutely hated it. Yes, that's true. But this one promises more. So obviously The Silent Patient is about a patient who is silent. Essentially from what I know about this is that, not the main character, but the patient in this book, attacked and killed her husband and then never spoke again and became mute. So our main character is like the psychologist who is trying to talk to her and figure out stuff and all that jazz, and it is a thriller, so I want to read it, so there. Next that I have on this list is one that I am pretty sure I tried to read like 2 years ago and got halfway through and put down. That's The Divineness by Libba Bray. I really want to read this book because it's been on my mind. And the vibes were really good. It just was really, really long and not much was happening. I got, how many pages? I got 200 pages in and it's like a 400 page book. It's over 500 pages. Oh shit. I did not realize that. But I just heard amazing things about this. The vibes were really good. We follow our main character, Evie O'Neill, who has been forced to go live with her uncle in New York. This is set in the 1920s as well. Evie was a bit of a party girl in her hometown, which did not work well, obviously. So she was sent to New York to live with her uncle. Her uncle owns this museum of like weird and wonderful occultish things. There's a whole bunch of murders that happen and they're kind of occultish, so the police asks Evie's uncle for help in regards to trying to figure out if the murders are actually occultish. There's also another main character whose name I have forgotten. I don't know, there's actually a wide range of characters in this and I think they all have, I'm not in focus, that's great. They all have abilities. Evie has the ability to, I think, read minds or something like that, or something along those lines. But nonetheless, what I read was good. It was just taking a very long time. And yeah. The next book that I have is one that I've been meaning to read for literally like ages since it has come out, and that is Hollowpox by Jessica Townsend. This is the third book in the Morrigan Crow series. That's what the series is. The Morrigan Crow series. This is just a fun, fantastic middle grade that is whimsical and wonderful and incredible. We follow our main character Morrigan Crow, who I believe on her 11th or 12th birthday she is meant to die because she is a cursed child. Before that can happen, she is whisked away by Jupiter North to the wondrous land of Nevermore, and in order for her to stay in Nevermore, she has to become part of the Wondrous Society, and it is just magical and fabulous, and it actually tugs at my heartstrings a lot. I really enjoyed this series. It's definitely I love it so much. I enjoy this series better than Amari and the Night Brothers because they both have very similar plots. One's more supernatural and sci-fi and the other one is fantasy based. So yeah. Next up I have The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri, I think is how you pronounce it. This was going around and just everybody was talking about it, and I really want to read it. So it's an Indian based fantasy. Captive princess and a maidservant in possession of forbidden magic become unlikely allies on a dark journey to save their empire from the princess's traitorous brother. Thank you very much, and I'm pretty sure it's also queer. Possibly. Imprisoned by her dictator brother, Malini spends her days in isolation in the Hirana, an ancient temple that was once a source of powerful, magical, deathless waters, but is now little more than a decaying ruin. Priya is a maidservant, one among several who make the treacherous journey to the top of the Hirana every night to clean Malini's chambers. She's happy to be an anonymous drudge so long as it keeps anyone from guessing the dangerous secret she hides. But when Malini accidentally bears witness to Priya's true nature, their destinies become irrevocably tangled. One is eventual princess seeking to depose her brother from his throne. The other is a priestess seeking to find her family. Yes, please. Give me now. Alright, next I have on the list Aurora's End, the third and final book in the Aurora Cycle. I am not prepared for this book to finish. I am so upset that it took like almost a year for it to come out. The first two books broke my heart, specifically the last one, because I don't know where they're going to go. But basically, if you have not read the Aurora Cycle, it begins with the book called the Aurora Cycle. Also, these covers are immaculate. And we have a large cast of characters. Our main character that we follow from is Tyler Jones, and he is like the best of the best at the Flight Space Invader Academy. And on the graduation day, he gets to pick his flight crew. He decides to go for one last flight before the graduation ceremony and discovers that there is this ship that has been lost for 200 years, and it just randomly shows up and there is a life still on board that is still alive. So he goes and rescues the said life, which turns out to be our other main character, Aurora, who has no idea what's going on, and she's been asleep for like 200 years. In doing this rescue, Tyler ends up missing the graduation ceremony, which means he misses his chance to get the perfect picks for his flight crew, so he gets the cream of the crop at the bottom. So he gets stuck with not the best of the best. It is a crazy whirlwind, like, just read this series, please. That's all I want to say. Read this series. Next on my list, I have one that has been going around BookTube for quite a while now in regards to indie published fantasy romance books, and that is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. Everybody seems to be talking about this. Becca in the books read it and really enjoyed it. I think I'm going to enjoy it based on that as well. From what I know about this book, we have a princess who is sent to marry this prince, and she is meant to kill him in order for her own kingdom to gain advantage over the bridge that sort of connects their two kingdoms. So if she takes control, then her kingdom can get more resources and stuff like that, I think. But obviously she falls in love with the prince, like a duh. So this just sounds really interesting and I want to read it, so yeah. Next, I have The Burn Season by Samantha Shannon. I've had this book for literal years. I think I bought it like maybe a year or two after it came out. Must have had it in 2017. Anyway, everyone is dying about this series and I want to join in the fun. I have just watched Maddie from Browsing Book Blog. She loved this series, and although I don't like dystopian, I think this is going to have enough of a magical element to it that I'm going to enjoy it still. All I know is that there's clairvoyance, and clairvoyants are bad and illegal, and then there's some sort of underground police force. I don't know. I really don't know anything about this book, but everyone loves it, so I'm gonna give it a try. Next, we have one that I only just recently heard about, but I've been keeping my eye on because it just sounds really interesting, and that is called All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. This just sounds really interesting and cool. I watched Becca in the Books read it and she seemed to really enjoy it, so I also want to read it and enjoy it. All I know about this is that it's a group of like founding families send their children to fight to the death to gain control over something. That's all I know. That's all I really want to know. Everything else will just be a surprise. Next up, we have another epic high fantasy. Mr. Brandon Sanderson coming at me with Mistborn, Era 1, Book 1. Here we go. Final Empire. This is a very, very old copy. I am a little bit scared to read it, not gonna lie, because of how old it is, but the text is big. Margins, however, are fucking tiny. But everybody loves this, so I want to give it a go, and if I don't love it, I'm going to be really, really upset. I got the whole trilogy in a charity shop for I think like $12, $12 or $15, I don't know. It was insanely cheap. So my second last one that I have on the list is going to be a reread, but it's been years since I've read it, so I'm going to need to reread it so I can continue on with the series. But I remember reading it and loving it the first time, so I'm hoping it'll be the same again. A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. Everyone talks about how good this is. I remember really, really enjoying it, and I think I gave it a 5 stars, and I think it was actually the first 5-star book that I had for whatever I was reading. I don't know much about this book. I can't remember much about this book either. All I know is that there are a bunch of different, like, Londons. There's like Black London, Red London, White London, Brown London, possibly. And we have a main character, Kel, who can travel between all of these Londons, and he is a bit of like a messenger, or at least like a courier, and like takes packages to people. And one day he accidentally takes something he's not supposed to and gets in a lot of trouble. And then we have another main character who is Lila Bard, and she is a pirate thief person. So there's Grey London without magic and ruled by the Mad King George III. Red London, where magic is revered and where Kel was raised alongside the heir to the Empire, which I think his name is Reese. And then there's White London, where people fight to control the remaining magic and magic fights back. And then there was once a Black London, but that sort of just imploded and went boom. Yeah, really want to read that series. Really want to read that series so I can tick it off my list, because that's been on my list for years. Then finally, the last book. We have made it to the end. We have The Anatomy. No, what's it called? Anatomy, a love story by Dana Schwartz, I think is how you pronounce it. This is a gothic murder mystery book where we have our main character who is a woman. I've forgotten her name, unfortunately, and she wants to, hold on, book description, there we go, that's Hazel. That's our main character's name. So we have Hazel, who is a lady, and she wants to be a surgeon. Unfortunately, because this is set during the 18th century, 1817 in Edinburgh to be exact, obviously ladies are not allowed to become doctors, and she's kind of thrown out of a doctor's lectures because obviously she is a woman. And she comes across this man called Jack Courier, and he's a resurrection man, so obviously you know what that means. He brings people back from the dead. They sort of strike up a bargain because Hazel has spoken to the doctor, main doctor, head doctor, surgeon guy, and he said that if she can pass the medical exam, then she can continue studying. In comes Jack with his ability to grab certain bodies, and Hazel obviously needs bodies to practice on because she wants to become a surgeon, and so they strike up a deal. And then in the midst of that, strange men have been sulking around cemeteries, and Jack's friends are disappearing off the streets, and the dreaded Roman fever, which wiped out thousands a few years ago, is back with a vengeance. This just sounds incredible. I'm all for the gothic vibes. It gives me Stalker Jack the Ripper vibes, which I absolutely loved, and I really wish I had a copy of because I really enjoyed that series. But nonetheless, those are all the 22 books that I want to read for 2022. God damn, these numbers. I've been speaking for far too long. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you guys have some of these books on your TBR list. Let me know if there are some I should prioritize over others. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more of me, then do be sure to check out my Instagram and Twitter. Links are always down in the description box below. And if you'd like to see more videos from me, be sure to hit the big red subscribe button so you can stay notified. And now I will bid you adieu and leave you to ponder. And I need a drink because I've been talking for far too long. Alright, I will talk to you guys in another video later on.